Welcome to IAYTD and welcome to Comic Fights. Today we are looking at Sinestro versus Magneto. But first, let's go back and look at last week and figure out who won. So last week we had an epic comic fight, which means we paired up characters with accessories, weapons, etc. to help them fight. So we had Joker in the Carnage symbiote versus Daredevil in the Batman Beyond suit. And this was tough, because the Batman Beyond suit has so many offensive capabilities, but the Carnage symbiote just would let Joker dominate. So here's what I came down to, and I pretty much agree with Will Realms, who wrote, "We've also seen time and time again how Carnage can regenerate himself and warp himself in ways that actually surpass Venom. It would also take a special cell to contain Carnage, so even if Matt is able to incapacitate him, he'd have trouble keeping things that way. Again, Carnage's powers are even stronger than Venom. He can use symbiotic tendrils to control people, and all that negative energy from Joker's thoughts turn into a healing factor. A hit and run would never work with Carnage because of this either. I mean, combined with clinging to any surface, sorry Matt, you're not going anywhere." And then, like a good commenter does, Will referenced an event that I wasn't really familiar with, but that totally changes the tides. Carnage came in contact with Darkhold and allowed him to be immune to sonic attacks. Talk about an upgrade. This is in Carnage Volume 2, Number 5. Joker Carnage would just be too slippery and smart for old Murdoch, even with the Beyond suit. So we found a citation that shows that Carnage wouldn't be susceptible to the same kind of sonic attacks that he was before. The Darkhold also lets him kind of control other people, which also Matt Murdock might be susceptible to. So this really tips kind of the favor for Carnage. So my vote goes for the Joker with the symbiote. I think he would just be destroying the new abilities we found out about Carnage. I don't think Matt Murdock with the Batman Beyond suit would be able to stop him. My thought, but of course, feel free to disagree. So let's hop in to this week's fight. Alright, so this week we have two villainous heavy hitters of the DC and Marvel universe. We're going to talk about what they do. Let's start with Sinestro, who is in control of the Yellow Lantern Ring, or one of the Yellow Lantern Rings. And what does this ring allow him to do? The ring is powered by fear, and the user's ability to master, control, and instill fear. And is Sinestro a master of fear? Absolutely he is. So most notably, the ring can create constructs. So it can create weapons, shields, objects, vehicles, whatever they need. The ring can power, create, etc. But as a disclaimer, these constructs only exist as long as the user is able to harness and control and continue instilling fear. Sinestro can also just create bursts of energy. He can create force fields. He can also pass through solid objects. He can become invisible. And Sinestro can even absorb energy like electricity that is shot at him. So he can absorb it and store it in the ring for later use. Sinestro can also fly, and he can also detect electromagnetic energy, and he can sense where it's coming from, which might give away our buddy Magneto. Recently, Sinestro even has so much control over fear that he is able to control the being known as Parallax, which is a kind of demonic-like being that is manifested of fear itself. So therefore it cannot really be killed because it's not really a thing, but it does have the same abilities that the yellow ring would allow Sinestro to do. So it can create objects, it can kind of phase through things, it can fly, it can do all sorts of stuff. So imagine Sinestro kind of controlling this massive, massive beast. The yellow ring can also do all sorts of other stuff, right? There's a whole long list of things. So I only mentioned the ones that I think are going to come into play. But if you know of other abilities like, whoa, wait, he can do this, say down below and make sure you reference what universe. So is it New 52? Is it, pre-52? Where did this come from? And let us know what else that ring can do. In terms of weaknesses, really the only weaknesses are that his blasts, constructs, things like that are only as strong as his ability to instill fear, which could be a weakness. And the ring needs charging. So about once a day, you have to recharge the ring to make it full power. Now let's talk about Magneto, the master of magnetism. Magneto is close. Some people believe he is an Omega level mutant in the Marvel Universe. which is as powerful as you can get. There are things that Magneto has done that are absolutely incredible. So he is definitely a contender with Sinestro. So he has extreme, precise, calculated control over metal in really all of its forms, and really across energy across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. This could mean global events that affect the electromagnetic field of the entire planet. So things like causing natural disasters, ripping the earth in half potentially. He can do massive, massive things. But in a one-on-one fight, he's not trying to destroy the world. So, he can do things like he can, open up the earth. He can kind of create blasts, force fields, kind of very similar powers to the Yellow Lantern in that way. He can control all of this energy in very different ways. He can fly. He can shoot this electricity out at people. He can't build constructs like Sinestro can, but he can use the metal around him to basically create anything he wants. So is it armor? Is it weapons? Is it, whatever he can imagine, he can try to create with all the metal around him. Now here's something that might come up. Well, he can just use the iron in Sinestro's blood to kill him. Now, there is not really enough iron in someone's blood for Magneto to really do much. I mean, there's very little impact. So it's not like an easy kill scenario here. So that's not really gonna happen. So don't bring that up. So here's the fight. Omega level mutant Magneto. Would he be afraid? I don't know. Probably not that afraid. He could use the environment, wherever they are, to create constructs, to create armor, and he can shoot massive blasts and protect himself with a massive force field. He could cause global catastrophe if he wanted to. Now he's facing off against Sinestro, who is trying to instill fear. If not instilling fear in Magneto, potentially instilling fear in others to gain this power, to create anything that he can imagine. If that alone isn't enough, he can control the demon Parallax, who has frightened characters like Superman, Wonder Woman. It can instill fear in the mightiest of DC heroes, which means Magneto is likely susceptible to that same fear. So this is an interesting one, but I want you to cite your thoughts and give examples and make sure you reference what universe. The Ultimates Magneto did some crazy stuff that we haven't seen the mainstream Magneto do. So reference where you read things. Let's have a really good discussion down there, and you have a week, and next week we'll highlight the coolest thoughts. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next Friday.